Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Success Agent Podcast. And today we are talking to Kandis Palmer. She is a top agent out in the Phoenix area. And so we're going to go ahead and jump right in today, guys. And so, Kandis, thanks again for being on our show today. And we're going to talk about Pob-bys and people today. And before we jump into that, go ahead and tell us about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got here, and what you did in your previous life, and then we'll jump right into the Pob-bys.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. It's definitely an honor. So this is my start of my 7th year in the business. Before I got into real estate, I was a hairstylist and owned a hair salon and an airbrush spray tan studio. So I've always been a business owner and entrepreneur. So I think that the turning point for me, which created the shift into real estate from being a hairstylist and salon owner, was that I became a mother, and I realized really quickly that I had to be there in order to make money. And I wanted to be more involved, as my daughter was growing up. I didn't want to miss things. And it really boiled down to like, okay, I'm going to either go to this thing for my child or I'm going to make money. And I didn't want to have to choose. And real estate just seemed like a natural fit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting how we all end up into the real estate space. So how did you get from hairstylist to because most people that get into real estate, it's not like on their top 5 things to do in life. They don't just show up one day and oh, let's just go ahead and jump into real estate, 100% commission. You're riding the wave of, flexible schedule and unlimited income opportunities. So how did that begin for you?
Well, like on the personality, test, I'm a 99D. So for me, I just jump in and I worry about everything later. So
Nice.
I literally just made a decision, went to school, and I finished probably in about 8 weeks, took the test, and I continued to do hair for the first year, part-time, so that I could, slowly transition. And thank goodness I had a great coach at the time who really pushed for me. She made me set a date and to actually exit the hair world. So I did that, and then I just jumped in, and then, it's like survival. You show up when you've got to survive. So I just made it happen, and it was rough. It wasn't, there were months where it's like, you're just stressed out and worried, but you just keep one foot in front of the other. And that's how it was. And in the beginning, it's so interesting that, I'm like all about my people parties and pop-bys, and because in the beginning, JP, I only called cold leads. I called for sale by owners, expireds. I door knocked because I was so afraid to dive into my people. I didn't think that they respected me in that way to
Right.
handle, their biggest transaction for most people, their financial transaction. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people get freaked out about re-engaging their sphere
yeah.
because you hear about stories of friendships and people that you've gotten to know along the way that they feel like, well, if I know them and I screw up, then that's a big deal. And then how is that going to affect my reputation? Whereas when you're working with cold leads and cold, opportunities, it really makes it easier because they don't know you.
Well, and if you're
So if you screw
rejected,
up, they don't know you screwed up, so there's not so much extra work. But if you're balancing your business, with a third, and if you have a third of your business coming from your sphere, then you're going to have a well-balanced business and you're not always chasing the next lead.
yeah. It was like, I think for me, it was like being rejected by someone I didn't know felt better than being rejected by someone that was close to me or that I already had an existing relationship with. So for 3.5 years, I did that. And I was like, okay, I am not happy. I'm wore out. This is not fun. And for me, fun is a real, motivating drive for me. If it's fun, I'm in. I'm all in. So that's,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's what's led me to now, kind of be more in my sphere. And about 80% of my business came from my sphere.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah. So it's easy and it's fun. You're already doing the things,
Yeah.
you know?
So we'll dive into that here shortly, but I know a lot of agents that got their license are still in that gray area between the transition from full-time guaranteed income, if you will, to moving over to full-time real estate. And I just don't think people just have the faith in themselves that they can do it,
Yeah.
and the fear. So how did you prepare yourself for that transition, or did you just do it?
Well, I've always had a coach. I believe in coaching 100%. In this like 7-year journey, I've only been without a coach for maybe a total of 4 or 5 months in all that time. So I think that without that coach, I wouldn't have been pushed and helped along. And I don't think I would have got exited, my hair business as quickly. And I can definitely attribute all of my success really to, well, not all of it, a majority of it, because, it's uncomfortable. It's, the fear, it's uncomfortable. You don't know what's on the other side. But when you have someone that's been down the road before you, that can, give you that, security, like it's okay, go, and I think that's really what helped me move to where I'm at today.
So a lot of people listening to this are like coaches, schmoaches, all that. You know how it is, like, but I will just tell you that I did the same thing. I didn't believe in that the coaches were a thing either. And which is funny because my wife is a psychologist, counselor, and a high performance coach. Uh, Shameful plug. So basically, a year ago, I dived into the coaching world, and you're not smart enough to do it on your own.
Nope.
I mean, if you want to add 50, 60% more to your bottom line, hire a coach. Every dollar is absolutely worth it. Um,
Well, I looked at like, you could look at any major basketball player. He or she did not get where they're at without having more than one coach, actually. Right. And so that's why I said, well, I want to be, Michael Jordan of real estate. So how do I do that? And then I looked at all the rest of the top producers that I admired, and I'm like, what is the common denominator? The common denominator was a coach. Right. So I'm like, boom, I'm on board. I want fast track.
yeah,
Yesterday I wanted the
absolutely.
success. So let's just get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people have, they have a health coach. They have I didn't even know there's an organization coach. Did you know that? It helps you organize your life. This is not like a life coach. This is just like getting the clutter out of your life. It, I was talking to a lady the other day, and she's like, yeah, I hired an organizational coach because my life is such a hot mess and in the clutter. And she's like, now I'm less stressful because I don't have to have these other things that are just staring at me and lingering in my space all the time. So she has an organizational coach. And then I said, well, do you have a high performance coach? And she's like, well, no. And I said, well, you should probably think about it, because high performance coaches are about living your best life. It's not just specifically just how to drive your business, but how to live your best life and live life through intention.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now that we've got this journey into real estate, you're rocking and rolling, and you're like, okay, I need to start farming my sphere. So let's talk about Pob-bys and people. So tell me how that came about and how you're implementing that in your business.
Well, I think I just started to realize like, okay, this is a lot easier working with, a warm person already. My listing presentation didn't have to be, so on point, and I wasn't competing against 5 agents. I'm like, oh, this is so much easier. And so then I I think just really deepening relationships. How can I already do what I'm doing and then just deepen the relationship? And it wasn't even about asking for the business. So I just started getting face to face with people. That's really what I focused on, because I've never been like, a caller, like, hey, how's it going? It just feels a little unnatural for me. So I track face to faces, break breads, whatever you want to call them. So I'm like, perfect. I can just get coffee, happy hour with people. And that's how I started. And then I was like, oh, how can I leverage my time and spend time with a big group of people at once? So I was like, okay, I'll host a happy hour. And then that happy hour, I think there was like maybe 20, 30 people that came to my first one. And it was right before Thanksgiving. And I named it the Gratitude Gathering, because I really was so grateful in my heart for all these people that, I'd started developing relationships with. And so then the next year I was like, oh, let's incorporate this pie thing. So then I grew the event from about 30 people to, I think, maybe like 65 people came the second year, and I gave away the holiday pies.
Nice.
And I was like, yeah, we're going to have a live band. I am like, let's make this fun so people can't say no to the party. I wanted it to be able to where they had to come. And so we had a great turnout, and I found a place where they like allowed me to have the party for free. And then it just grew the next year. I think we had probably like close to 100 people the third year. And then this year I added an element. I feel like I add a little something every time to the party, so it's not overwhelming and I just grow naturally. This year I added a fun photo booth, still have a live band, and did some giveaways too. So, that's it.
Sweet. So I know people are like, okay, so that sounds great, but like, what does it typically cost? And like, how do you find the right venue? Because I know that a lot of people are listening or going, that's great. I'm glad that works for you, but how do you like organize it? Like, how much do you usually spend on an event? Because, people come starting, been in a couple, 2-3 years, are like, okay, so how do I like build the momentum in an event? Or do you usually have it around the same time every year? And, are you getting sponsors to sponsor the events for them? How are you putting it together?
So the first year with that little happy hour, I worked, I got my title company and my lender to agree to contribute. So I think for that, I was out, not even very much, a couple $100.
Nice.
And then the second year, same thing. I had, title and the lender contribute, and I found a space that they allowed me to have their patio for free. So, and the great thing about having these events is that you're deepening relationship with other business owners in the community. So it's really, it's twofold. Like it pays off in so many ways. So yes, I do have sponsorship. And then about being organized about it. Obviously the organization has gotten better over the years, and I've learned what works. And I've tried, several different things. Now we do Eventbrite invitation, and then we also do a lot of text reminders. I think that I love text way better than email. And so I found that that's the best. And then, you can set up a Facebook group too, or a Facebook event, so that people are seeing that. You just want to be able to reach people from all the ways. So I would just say to someone, start small. Get your partners. You can even go as far as like, your pest control, your big contractors that you use all the time, if you need more support financially, and then just add a layer every year. And then that way it's not overwhelming, and you're not what if nobody comes? Well, okay, great. It's just a more intimate party. Like you could literally start with, I've done other things where I'm like, I hosted a wine tasting, and I targeted specific people that I wanted to come. So it wasn't open to my whole database.
Sure.
I've done like a yoga class. I've done a cooking class. And, those are like 15 people, super small. So start by doing that. And then the cost isn't that much. And then you get more and more comfortable. And then, you just consistently do that. And then, I don't know, just business shows up from it. I don't know.
So you've never actually physically said, hey, would you give me a referral? You just have people
Sure, I
come.
said it, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't.
right. But I mean, it's not like you're the, like, what is it? The best way to thank me is to send me a referral on the bottom of my business card, like.
I mean, do I heart referrals? Yes, of
Right,
course.
Of course, of course.
But
Yeah.
I think it's like you invite someone so many times because it's not even about them showing up. I think that's the bigger point is that you invite someone so many times, that person's gonna feel obligated to eventually show up. And then even more, they're gonna feel obligated for taking a pie or for, having this drinks and food. They're gonna be like, I should really it's subconscious. They're not even conscious about
Right.
doing it, but they're like, they send you referrals.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's
It's like
pretty awesome. Like you're like,
guilt.
wait a minute, they didn't even come to any of my events that I've done in the last year. That's pretty cool that they sent me somebody my way. Because it's a frequency and it's a consistency thing. I think that's one of the things that realtors really fail at is
Yes.
that they just are not good at. They're chasing the next forward lead when
Yeah.
there's so many backward leads that are back there just hanging out, waiting for you to just that low hanging fruit to just go ahead and grab it and realize that, man, I should have been doing this years ago because it's way easier to convince an old lead to send you a new lead than to get a new lead to even work with you.
Yes, yes. And the thing about consistency is I'm not great at it either. Like that was exactly my coaching call yesterday with my coach about being consistent for 2 hours a day because I'm a wild one. I'm doing this, I'm over here, and it literally boils down to just being consistent for a couple hours a day, and then you get to go be your awesome crazy self the rest of the hours in your day.
Absolutely. And we automate a lot of that. So we're switching CRMs just because
Mm.
it's a little bit simpler, a little more automated. So I can do all my automation via text rather than having to log into my CRM all the time now. I can just text it right into the CRM and it'll automatically update, which is pretty
Oh,
awesome. Yeah. So like I can track like my pipeline, I can track my past clients, and I can just text into the CRM and say, please automate past client drip campaign, and it'll just do it for me.
hi. I
So
love that.
we'll have to talk about this offline because
Yeah.
I'm sure people are like, what? So
Oh.
yeah, I mean, because the thing is like, I'm just like you, I'm like a 99D, 99I. So like everything is like,
Yeah,
I'm probably more ADHD than I probably let on. And then I have like my meetings with my team every week and they're just like, okay, so for the next event, we need to make sure that somebody has somebody that can handle JP while we're, because I'm just all over the place. But so we do the same thing. We use Eventbrite. We run 4 major events every year.
okay.
And we keep it really super simple. We do 2 movie premieres every year. So we have a local theater that allows us to buy out the theater and have like the big movies we could do the night before. And which
Oh,
is,
fun.
yeah. And so it's kind of like this red carpet thing. We have photos and stuff. And I think we're going to do one. We haven't done it yet, but I think we're going to do one where everybody has to dress up like to the nines. And then we might do like a little buffet like before the movie starts. So it's like this huge ordeal.
Yes.
Um, and then we have one that we just switch up every year. We kind of figure out like how we're going to do it. So like this year we're doing a big Halloween party. So we're going
Oh,
to like
what?
do it up and like do the invites and stuff. And we have this whole like social campaign that we're doing and we try to push it through Eventbrite and then we tie the Eventbrite to the Facebook event. So when you go into that, it links up and stuff. And yeah, because it's so much easier to track when you have the ticket. Just have
Yeah.
people scan in
Yep.
and then you can see if it was a successful party or not, or if you grew year over year.
Yep.
And then we do a barbecue in the summer.
Well, fun.
So just keep it real simple
Yeah.
because I'm not a professional party planner, and I have all women on my team, so it
Oh,
makes it
okay.
super easy. They're all like natural like party planners. They're like, oh my gosh, let's do this, and I'm like, yes, do that because
Yes.
I suck at that. So
think that's it. Like finding what you're great at and doing that, and then leveraging what you're not great at.
Yeah.
I have great ideas. Sometimes the implementation and the details of it are not right. We're not really detail oriented. Are you? I'm not.
No,
No.
no, no. That's why I have
Like,
staff.
this is my vision.
Stress.
So it's like, yeah, hiring people or, partnering with people. If you're a solo agent, just partnering with, your title and your lender and delegating some of those things. And sometimes when you're a solo agent, you haven't built out a team or you don't plan to, you kind of have to do some of the things you don't want to do until you can get to a point where you can hire it done or,
Or just partner up with some other agents in your office.
that too.
Or in your area.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, let's just partner up on some events and use that as leverage.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. There's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you just got to start thinking outside the box on how to get yourself out there, because I know that a lot of people are so afraid to like join a club or get involved in the community because they just don't know what to do. And there's not a perfect script for any of that stuff. You just got to do it. That's the thing.
I think you've got to look at yourself and like, that's what I said. What do I want to do? What am I into? Like, I love to drink wine. I love to do yoga. So I've just created events around things that I love. And then you're going to naturally attract those same people. So then it's even easier to be in business with people who are like you.
Right. Absolutely.
So just figure out what you're into and make an event around that. Like if you're into dogs and, have like this, go to the dog park and have this dog booth photo and all these, outfits for dress up the dogs, like, whatever. If you're like, and two, for me, I think the mom game has been part of my success for sure. Because moms always want a night out. They, so I would host little like, mom nights, like a paint night, and just provide like a little bit of food and some wine and we'll paint. So it's like things like that. It's like, it doesn't have to be this grand, big event every year. If that's not comfortable for you in the beginning, I think start out small and, whatever it is that you like, and then just invite your friends and start from there and then ask them to bring someone next time. So it's really that simple.
Yeah. I think people don't realize how simple it is. I think they overthink it. You just don't overthink it. Just do it. Or, pick a date, do it, and then learn from it and do it better next time,
Yeah, that's it, right? That's a whole concept of just trying to be better tomorrow than, a better version of yourself tomorrow than you were yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been awesome. I appreciate your time. I think people are going to get a lot of little nuggets out of today. And so how is it that people can get a hold of you if they're in the Phoenix area, they want to send you some referrals? What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
I mean, I love the good old phone, 602-741-7531. You can also follow me on all the social platforms, Facebook, Instagram. The name of my team is Palmer Properties. And then I also have my personal page, so Kandis Palmer. So either way, I'm super active on the social media. So or you can email me directly, Kandis@azpalmerproperties.com.
Awesome. And that's Kandis.
That's right. Yes.
Yes. Well, excellent. And if you guys want to know more about EXP and what we do here, you can text Kandis. Just text the word EXP and she'll be happy to reach out to you to tell you more. If you're up in my area or if you want to learn more, you can also text me as well, 307-772-1184. We're happy to give you all the information on why we're having so much fun over here at EXP. And thanks again for another episode of the Success Agent Podcast. And we will catch you guys all in the next episode. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.